So when I talk to people, they often have a couple of things happening. They're often quite unhappy in the career and the job that they're in right now, and they feel pretty stuck right now. They don't want to go back to school, they don't want to get into debt and do all that. They've got their life going, they just want to make a shift. Oftentimes they're very frustrated and depressed because the life that they thought that they were building is not at all what they pictured, and I can totally relate to this because for me it was the same thing. It was like, oh, all this hard work that I had is ending up here, doing this. I was in sales selling copy machines. So I'm like, no, this is not, I cannot continue forward like this. Then there are people that actually studied acting, studied film school, went to film school, have written a bunch of stuff, writing scripts, and they're not able to break in professionally and get paid for what they really love to do. So they're also usually quite frustrated because they've been trying, they've been setting their reel, they've been setting their screenplays, they've been contacting production companies, but they can't get anybody to pay attention. So at this point they get kind of pissed off at the whole world, and especially the film industry, and just disillusioned, not just angry because they studied it, they did all what they consider was the right thing, but it didn't seem to work, and nobody in the film industry seems to care. So there's a methodology that can help you, and that is to get involved and get connected. So get involved in the film industry in order to get connected with professionals and get that work to start to come in. So in a nutshell, this is how it works. Instead of trying to study and take classes like study acting, study directing, study screenwriting, and try to make yourself really good in hopes that the film industry will see your talent and bring you in, this is what everybody seems to do. Instead, what you need to do is just get involved in the film industry. Get in the door and get in any way you can, but the way that a lot of people can get in is doing assistant jobs, and you can get assistant jobs in these departments that you actually want to work in. So you're making friends and you're working with departments that actually interest you. Writing, editing, sound, stunt, special effects makeup, hair, makeup, wardrobe, production design, set construction, art director, all of these departments, okay? So the thing that people don't realize is that you probably have skills already from your past jobs, your past work, or even your past studies, like even being in school, just ways that you have that have made you already pretty successful in what you've been doing so far, and these can actually really be an asset to you in the film industry. So we think we have to study and learn all this stuff, but actually you have what it takes, most likely, to start working in the film industry. And once you get on set and you're working on set and in these production offices, guess what? You're going to have all these people, all these departments teaching you stuff. So you can learn by doing it, by helping out on set, instead of going and spending a bunch of money on film school and acting school. A lot of people that are actors can also do camera work. If you're an actor, you can also do a wardrobe and make great money. You can do stunts and do acting. You can do directing. You can do writing and acting. So you can combine the specialties, and you can therefore always be working on set and always making money. And the more you're on set, that's actually the most important thing, because that's how you get all the opportunities. You can actually transition from whatever you're doing right now, medical, banking, retail, tech, whatever it is, and you can transition to hundreds of jobs in the film industry. And these jobs are all over the world, and every set has got a lot of different jobs. Every production has a lot of different jobs, so there's a lot of variety there that you might be good at that you don't even know about until you got exposed to it. And also there's all these different sectors of the film industry that you may never have thought about. For instance, there's feature films, so there's union feature films, but then there's indie feature films. People make their whole living in just union films or just indie films. There's commercials, there's TV shows, there's shows like Netflix, Amazon, all these, that's a huge sector producing scripted shows right now. Massive, and it's all over the world. There's also news. There's also international news. There's also entertainment news. I've done that. There's also documentaries, which is great. I've done a lot of National Geographic. There's also reality TV. That's a huge sector, even though, a lot of people don't like that. It's still part of the entertainment industry because it's got eyeballs following it. You can get into soap operas. You can get into talk shows. It's just a massive, music videos, it's a massive industry. In each of these sectors, people don't realize, but each of these sectors gives you a different lifestyle. Like you'll have a different lifestyle if you're working on union feature films than you will if you're working on scripted TV shows. How is that? Well, union feature films, you're probably going to be traveling a lot. You might shoot in the Amazon, then you might shoot in New York City, and then you might shoot in Pittsburgh for like 3 weeks. You'd be like, oh, I don't want to be in Pittsburgh. Well, union, you have to go where they're shooting that story, right? So documentaries, you would be shooting all over the world. You could go to Thailand. I've been all over the world. I've shot great white sharks, I've shot piranhas, I've shot in the Amazon, I've shot elephant seals, I've shot penguins, I've shot pumas, I've shot Andean condors, all over the world, all over Patagonia. You can also just do TV, and then you might be working in the same city, working on a certain TV show. You might be working on one of the lots like Paramount or CBS, and then sometimes you guys go shoot on locations if you're doing TV. So I've done all this work. I've done TV, I've done union features, I've done indie films, I've done reality TV, long time ago. I've done documentaries, and today I mostly do commercials because it is the top work, it's the best budgets, it's like cream of the crop work. A lot of people wonder if they can actually really move into the film industry without going to film school, and I'll tell you, I did it. I would never recommend getting into major debt going into film school because people in the film industry don't care. And you'll find that out once you go to film school. There's so many film school graduates that are not working in the film industry because they found out that, hey, that's not what gets you in. So let me tell you how it worked for me. So I was in sales. I was living in Madison, Wisconsin, and I was selling photocopy machines. I worked for Kodak and I worked for IBM. And after a couple of years of doing that, I realized that, hey, the writing was on the wall. I was going to be middle-aged, overweight, unhappy, married to a mediocre guy, and, you know, living the same life that I was living over and over, going to the bars on the weekends, drinking beer, and then doing the sales, which I never even liked. But I thought that's what I needed to do in order to be a grown-up and to make a lot of money. Well, I didn't make that much money. I made okay money. But what I really wanted to do is I wanted to find something exciting that I could travel around the world and know exciting people and live an exciting life. So what I did is I quit my job, I cashed in my retirement, and I just started traveling around the world. And I went all around the world all by myself, went all over the Far East and Russia and Eastern Europe and Africa, all over, and I met people. And when I was in Africa, when I was in Kenya, was when I came across a film crew. Because by that time I traveled for 2.5 years. By that time I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to start working pretty soon. I'm getting low on money. So I met this film crew, and that's when I got the idea to work for National Geographic. Like I could do wildlife films. Now it would have seemed very far-fetched if I would have come across that idea when I was back in Wisconsin. I would never even thought that I could do that, or that I would be able to do that, or I had any training or qualifications to do that. But since I had already been traveling around the world and already expanding, I was like, hey, I could do that. I went to South Africa. I started meeting with people, and I started making relationships in the wildlife documentary area. Now there's more I can tell you about that, and I'd be happy to share that with you, but I'll do that in another video. Anyway, so I worked for National Geographic. I eventually moved to Los Angeles. I started doing entertainment news. I started doing all sorts of big stuff. And I eventually moved up into commercials. Okay, I won an Emmy for National Geographic too, by the way. But then I moved into commercials, much like I could make 3 times as much money, and I could pay for myself to go anywhere in the world with what I was getting paid for National Geographic, which wasn't that much. $5.50 a day. How you get the work is by being good to work with, and you're already probably good to work with. So if you're good at multitasking, then you can be good to work in production. You could be a producer, you could be a director. You could work in camera, and there's many different positions within the camera department that are all requiring the ability to multitask. There's editing, and there's different positions in the editing and the post-production world. Of course, there's directing, but there's also agency directing. There's also being a creative director. My point is there's a lot of jobs that are out there. Now these jobs you may not start in right away, but these are jobs that you can work in and get in that area and learn from people that are doing it, and then eventually, and it could be very quickly, move up into these jobs. Then of course there's acting, which you also need to be able to multitask as well. If you're good at physical things, then you might love stunts. You also might love acting. That's pretty physical. You might love gaffing, you might love grip, you might love electric, you might love set construction, or you might love being a medic, okay? If you're a visual person, you may be perfect for being a director. You might be probably perfect for being anything in the camera department, DP, DIT, camera operator, Steadicam, all these jobs. Steadicam is good for a physical job as well, by the way, to back up a little bit. Okay. There's also production design. If you're a visual person, you just see things, you see colors, you see shapes. You might be really good at art department, heading up the art department. Stunt coordinator, choreographing fight scenes, choreographing anything. It could be bicycles. It could be just a big scene with bicycles and people walking. Stunt coordinator. If you like music, you could be great for sound. You could be great for editing. You could be great for just actually doing sound design or music design for film. Remember, this industry is massive and everything's got music underneath it and everything has been edited and produced. So these are massive, massive areas, okay? If you like writing and you've been writing screenplays, let me tell you something. You don't have to stay on your couch. You can actually go to film sets because every single film set has got writers on it. So you can get on film sets with writers and you can start to actually create a real career in the film industry as a writer. You can actually start writing script. You can start being there. You can get in these writing rooms initially as an assistant writer and then full-time as a writer. I hope this has given you some ideas of what's possible. I've been doing this for a long time. As I said, I help people get into the film industry and work, build careers, and move up quickly into these niches. It's my passion, it's my love, it's what I do. So thank you so much for watching my stuff. If you found this useful, please feel free to share it with somebody else, okay? Thank you so much.